Snow removal. You're taking frozen water, pushing it to the edge of your driveway and making a big pile. Ice melt products on your driveway or your sidewalk, or whoever is conditioning the road will be putting those ice melt products on your yard, and you can't control what those are. What is a major contributing factor to fungal disease issues in your yard? Moisture. What is one contributing factor that can actually lead to soil compaction? Excessive moisture. What can lead to structure breakdown of the soil? Sodium. Chlorides in these ice melt products in high concentrations can get into the plant, get into the leaf, and actually inhibit photosynthesis, the ability for the turf to actually make energy to grow and thrive. We're going to talk about how to manage the snow removal and ice melt products that you're putting on your driveway and your sidewalks, and even those. Here's more important. You may say, I'm not going to put any ice melt products down. What about what's coming off the road that you can't control? In this video, I'm going to give you ice melt products that are going to be able to manage your yard and make sure that it doesn't damage it. Also going to give you techniques for snow removal to mitigate all of these potential problems, not only to the turf, but to the soil itself. We're going to cover all that in this video. It's actually not that complicated, but if you know what to do and you know how to do it correctly, you can definitely save the yard and also have a nice clear driveway so you don't fall. Anyway, let's get started. So what are the dangers here? There's gray snow mold, which is actually not too bad. We can kind of manage that with our mowing, but nevertheless, we still go through this long period of unsightliness coming out of spring. The second one is a problem. It's pink snow mold that you can actually get turf loss from it. And then yellow patch, which is very similar to brown patch that we have during the summer, spring, and fall months. Those are the fungal issues that we can have. Also, as far as the products we're putting on for snow melt, sodium and chlorides. So those are the big ones. Now I'm going to give you some fungicides that you can use. I'm going to give you some ways to manage your soil as far as the sodium, and we're also going to talk about some preventative in this video too. So let's first talk about as far as fungus. Obviously, if you are piling up, as it says in the Penn State article down below, if you're piling snow on the edge of your walks or your driveways, it's going to sit there for a prolonged period of time. As many of you know, you can have literally no snow on the ground anywhere else except piling up there beside that walk and driveway where that snow is accumulated over time. The snow sits there for a long time, and you have this concentration of moisture, snow, and it really does make it much easier for that disease to develop. Now, one of the things you can do to prevent that is fungicide applications. Now, propiconazole is one and oxystrobin is the other. There's a number on my Amazon storefront that are both anoxystrobin and propiconazole. And I leave propiconazole products here, leave the anoxystrobin products here. Now, there is also another one that you can put out called Headway. It is a mixture of the two. Now, that one might be a little bit pricier, but these would be a great way to apply right before your snow gets on. NC State left us some efficacy data in their turf files in regards to yellow patch. Yellow patch, in my opinion, has been particularly a problem in transition zone. I saw a lot of putting greens in North Carolina, was in the Raleigh-Durham area, and it basically stayed. Most of these fungal issues are going to rear their ugly head from basically 32 degrees clear up to 60. So if you have that snow sitting on the side of your driveway and it melts everything else off and then it just sits there and it's just feeding constantly moisture into that soil. And to be where I'm at, it's been pretty doggone cold. I don't have snow yet, but it's been below freezing for over a week. The plant actually has to be reasonably actively growing in order to absorb that fungicide. So you really do need a little bit warmer weather. It's not going to do you any good if you put it on frozen soil. It really isn't. It needs to get into the plant. And probably you need to really time that as best you can when the soil is still unfrozen and the grass. And candidly, the grass actually grows, particularly cool season grass, guys, a lot later than what you think in the season. But I do caution you that if you're going to put it on frozen ground, you're just wasting your money. I don't want you to do that. So anyway, now that's as far as fungal issues. Now, how to prevent that? We can cure it, but let's do it with some natural ways. One thing you can do, and I really like snow throwers and these new snow shovels, these power snow shovels. They will throw snow a long way off, particularly these power shovels. I've used one. Wild Badger sent me one. They've also sent me a snow thrower, and they actually are sponsoring this video. They sent these to me to try out, and I appreciate them sponsoring the video. But you can see here how well they throw snow. That'll do a number of things. One, it evenly distributes that snow over your yard, so you don't have this concentration that sits there sometimes, like I said, for weeks on end, and continues to make a really healthy environment for those spores to come up and infect the plant. Two, it actually will, if you get some of these treatment products, these ice treatment products, we're going to talk about that here in a second. If you get those in the snow, you don't have that concentration on the side of your driveway too. Okay, it'll actually distribute it evenly over the yard. Now, that's not the ideal situation. You don't want those on your yard at all. But what these salts products are, you got to understand your fertilizers are also salts. That's where you get the fertilizer burn, is when you put an excessive amount out, and it essentially desiccates the plant, meaning it pulls water right out of the plant and basically kills it. Okay, so what you're doing by actually throwing the snow and trying to distribute this snow over your yard, over a longer period of area, you're reducing the concentration of those salts and those chlorides that you're putting on. If indeed it does get mixed up into that material that you are moving, you don't get that huge concentration adjacent to your driveway. And I tell you, these power snow shovels, the one thing I like about here, and you can see me using it here, the thing is, when you have these piles on the edges of your driveway, and ultimately the plow is going to go through the road and then leave you that huge accumulation of snow. And they're probably using sodium chloride, which I'll get to here in a second. They're probably using sodium chloride because of the cost of it. And now you got these two piles. That's where this picture has been taken of. It's the piles on the side of the driveway near the road. You can go ahead and take that power snow shovel and you can actually distribute a lot better. It's really easy. You can see how I make quick work out of this pile of snow here. It's a lot of ice in it, some cinders in it that you may get off of the highway, and you can actually distribute that and actually reduce that amount, that concentration, significantly. So I really like both of those. And Wild Badger, I'll leave a QR code right here if you guys want to check those out. The thing I like about electric, and I had snow throwers myself, thing about it with a gas one is, as you guys may know, it's hard to start. It's been sitting all summer, just like your generators may be. It's been sitting there for quite a while. These electric ones, if you keep the batteries inside and charge them up, you get up in the morning, it's gosh knows how cold, down to zeros. Pop those batteries right in and those things will start right up and you won't have any problems. Wild Badger's got a Black Friday sale going on right now, so just about all their items are on sale. Few other items I've looked at for them, they've got a electric lawnmower that uses the exact same battery the snow thrower and snow shovel does. So when you buy either one of those, you've got actually two batteries. You got two batteries for the lawnmower during the summer, and you got two batteries for the snow thrower. The snow thrower does come with two batteries or one, depending on, I think it's a little bit more if you go with the two battery pack, but same battery for either one. So if you buy both those items, you get two batteries. They have a 3-year warranty on that stuff. I always chuckle when some of these seasonal manufacturers give you a 1-year warranty. It essentially lasts for 3 to 6 months at best, but Wild Badger gives you a 3-year warranty. They're a 4-in-1 tool. I reviewed that. If you guys watch the channel, really like it. It's got a chainsaw. It's actually it's gas powered. It's 2-cycle engine, typical, large weed eater. There's a brush blade, weed eater, hedge trimmer, and a chainsaw on it. And that 4-in-1 tool, that's probably my favorite thing Wild Badger has, that 4-in-1 tool. There again, these will all be on my tools ideas list and now on a QR code if you guys want to check it out. And again, I thank Wild Badger for sponsoring the video. As far as ice treatment products, there again, went over this in this video as the specific ones. What the concerns are there is the sodium and the chlorides. Let's look at what they do. Now, the sodium is really bad. The reason why sodium is really bad is twofold. One, if it gets into high concentrations, if you want to take a soil test, once you give it above about 1% sodium in your soils, you're starting to have problems. Now, most of you guys out west do have sodium in your soils. Once you get above that level, you can lead to soil structure breaking down. It's, if you ever remember what the Romans did to Carthage is they put the salt into the ground after they conquered it, and so nothing would ever grow there. What that does is it breaks the structure down in the soil, which significantly increases the compaction and the compaction to allow roots to grow, and the infiltration rate of water down in it. So you're getting kind of a double whammy here in the winter. Is you've got these salts. Now it's broken down the structure of the soil. It's not percolating. It's all staying on the surface, and it's actually probably taking that moisture further away from your driveway and making that problem just that much worse. So that's what sodium does to soil. As far as what sodium does to the plant is it desiccates it. Like we were talking about earlier about the fertilizers, is it's a high salt. It literally can pull moisture right out of that plant. And it works. In some of these salts are actually in these organic glyphosate products. They're salts, and they work real fast because they pull the water right out of the leaf blade, and they can pull the water right out of that plant, kill the crown, and then it's done. So it's a double whammy on salt. And one of the more popular ones, and the cheapest one, is sodium chloride. It's both, and it's got the chlorides in it. So what do the chlorides do? The chlorides can get, if they get to very high levels in the soil, can be absorbed by the plant. What happens there is it gets into the leaf and inhibits the photosynthesis of that leaf. It cannot produce energy efficiently or at all, and then it dies. So now you've got chlorides in that soil. Now, is that, in my opinion, I've not seen any real studies on chlorides, but I know what chlorides do. In my opinion, chlorides are not as bad as the sodium. So that's why I like the calcium chloride. Calcium chloride is basically two things that it does. One, it doesn't have the sodium in it, which in my personal opinion, I think the sodium is more of an issue. Two, it works at negative 25 degrees. And I like this blue heat product. I've got it on my Amazon and Lowe's storefront. I'll leave both those QR codes right here. The reason why I got both of them is this. At Lowe's, I think it comes in a 20-pound bag. And those of you who need maybe more, at Amazon, they have it in a 50-pound bag. So it's a little cheaper if you need a higher quantity. You can get it from Amazon. But there again, that has calcium chloride, and it works at that lower temperature, and you'll need less of it. Now, what I have seen as far as application rates for ice melt products is basically anywhere from 14 to 28 pounds per 1,000 square feet, which does sound like a lot to me, but that's what I've seen. I really did a lot of study when I did that video, as I do all of them, when I did that video, and that's what they recommend. The safest one was calcium magnesium acetate. There we go. And I do have that on the Amazon storefront. That does not have sodium nor chlorides in it. And it's pretty safe. They kind of market it towards pet safe and environmentally safe. And I'm not saying that's not. But that is, if you really wanted to put a ice melt product out, and I believe, and I can't remember what it works at. I want to say it works down to 20 degrees. If not, I'll correct it here. The problem with that is about running over $80 a bag last time I checked, which that is really pricey for an ice melt product. Now, what I would recommend if you guys really do have a concern is simply shovel off your driveway, you blow it off, okay? Use one of those power shovels or snow thrower, like, maybe I think the Wild Badger is a really good option. Throw it off there and then put down a traction aid. And this is the one I recommend. And the reason why I went over this in my top dressing video, you got to watch what sand you use. And this is what the USGA recommended was actually a traction aid to golf course superintendents, so they don't get in a situation where they have all these issues that we're talking about in this video. You can go ahead and get your snow off your driveway, put that masonry sand down. The reason being is if you use other types of sand products, some of them can actually have an additive in it, like paver sand, where you're putting pavers on. You put the sand down and you put a paver on top of it. There's actually an additive in that actually allows that to compact, and we don't want that in the soil, obviously. So that's why I'm saying always use the masonry sand, and I've got that on my Lowe's storefront. So you want to use sodium chloride because of budgetary issues, or maybe you've already used sodium chloride and now you kind of want to manage it. And there's a fairly easy fix here, or at least something you can mitigate any potential damage, and that is the application of gypsum, particularly if you need calcium. Now, I got a soil test video. You guys can check out that soil test video, and I'm going to leave a QR code right here. This QR code will take you to a website where it will show you every state in the union where you can get an unbiased soil test, and oftentimes for free and usually less than 20 bucks. It's a great place to get a soil test. It's very reliable. I have a Facebook page. This was a huge topic conversation, one of the posts on the Facebook page. You guys want to cruise over there, you can go to the Facebook page, leave pictures of your yard. There's a lot of experts on there, including myself, guys that are knowledgeable that can help you out. You can take pictures of your yard. It's one of the things I do encourage you guys. I always encourage comments down below and questions down below. But if you cruise over the Facebook page and become a member of the group, you post pictures of your, brag a little bit if things are great, or if things are not going so great, particularly with fungal issues, you can help identify some things and we can help out. But you can cruise over there. Anyway, big conversation was soil test. And I didn't realize myself, because I have always went through land grant colleges or your local extension service for soil tests. I've never done a commercial soil test in 35 years, been doing this. But they can be unreliable. Some of the techniques they use I'll give Mr. Smith on the Facebook page credit for this, shout out to him, that, very reliable guy. And some of these soil tests are really not that dependable. And if you go to a university, they're using a proper extractant that they can actually extract and actually give you a good soil test for your soil. So you can put gypsum down if your calcium levels are low, and that will add calcium to the soil. Also, in gypsum, you have sulfur. So what you're going to do is that sulfur will attach itself to the sodium, creating sodium sulfate, and that is leachable. Sodium by itself is not leachable. That's why it stays in the soil and messes with your life. But sodium sulfate will leach, and that's how you reduce that sodium in your soil, through sodium sulfate. So that's one of the ways. The other way, let's say your calcium levels are way high, or particularly if your pH is also high, you can add sulfur itself. Now, you can use ammonium sulfate fertilizer. That is one way to bring that pH down a bit. I would put your sulfur based on the soil test. But as far as gypsum, you're looking anywhere from around 2 pounds per thousand. If you're incorporating into the soil, let's say 4 inches deep, you're probably not incorporating. You can go as high as 4 pounds per thousand. And your soil test lab, if you did take a soil test, your sodium levels are high, you could probably call them and ask them. They may give you a recommendation, they may not. But the people at these universities are very passionate about what they're doing, and it'll help you a great deal. But generally, gypsum applications, 2 to 4 pounds. You can put that on prior to winter, or you can put it down during the winter if it gets, if you get a spell where you can actually put something out, particularly if the ground's not frozen, or put it out first thing in the spring. As soon as you get the snow off of it, that's why it's so critical to get that snow to where it melts uniformly on your yard. And you can put that gypsum all over your yard, particularly if you need the calcium. And if you are throwing product or are throwing some of these ice melt products into the yard, that way that sodium's already there to take care of any type of, that gypsum's there to take care of any of that sodium you happen to be throwing on the rest of your yard. Anyway, that's how you manage and not go into the spring with all of these areas. And I tell you, because the grass is not actively growing, and particularly with sodium, when you're really having a problem with the soil, that is going to take a long time to correct. And also, if you really want to understand the chemistry of all those salt products, I'll leave this video here to end. You guys can check that out as well. Anyway, that's how to manage. So we're coming into the spring healthy, so we don't let our snow removal damage the grass that we have worked so hard to get some of us back from this really devastatingly dry fall. Anyway, I'm agronomist Greg Phillips. I hope this helps. Thanks for watching.